Hello, everyone, and welcome to the pre-match show. It's been a long time. It's the same crew back, but we grabbed Sir Z and brought us along for the pre-match show. The lineup is out. So we were, I don't know if Sparky this morning, I don't know if he's still golfing, but I think him and Dom got this right over here. We'll start right with you right away, Gordo. What do you make of the lineup?
Man, what a midfield! I think this is something that maybe Jones at the beginning of the season wasn't something that a lot of people wanted to see, but I think this is probably our strongest midfield. I'm looking forward to it. Bradley gets the nod. Gomez, I know those were two guys we were like, do they play here? They play at Arsenal. So big nod for both of them. Jota Nunez, Diaz, I think wasn't that John? Didn't you say that? That was your
No,
line?
I had Gakpo coming in
That
Right.
was
over
my lineup.
Nunez. Yeah,
This is pretty much like my lineup, except like you said, like we didn't know who was going to be right or left over there.
exactly.
So,
Yeah,
how do you like that decision then, John? With we're sticking with what we have. I mean, I guess my biggest concern was running like a young Bradley into the grounds. Gomez has
yeah.
done that, but
Yeah.
how do you like that? I mean, they're
It's
both
kind
on the bench. Both Robertson and Trent are on the bench.
it's kind of finding the right kind of trying to find the right balance here because obviously Trent doesn't have 100% in terms of fitness and everything. So, would you rather have a half fit or 75% fit Trent against the experience of Sterling on that side, or a Bradley who's relatively inexperienced but is pretty much in good form, has pretty much busted the last two games against that Sterling experience? And I was partial to starting Trent, but I could totally understand the whole Bradley starting over him. Gomez is interesting because we talked about it this morning. I would prefer. I'm kind of leaning towards Gordo's shout more as the show went on, where Robertson would make much more sense in this game, and then starting him against Arsenal because he's kind of checked Saka on that side really well. So with him starting today, would you pretty much put the money on maybe Klopp putting a Robertson in against Arsenal or something like that? But yeah, midfield, surprised he went with Soboslai
Yeah.
already. I was expecting Soboslai maybe against Arsenal, but you can't blame him, I guess. At home, crowd will be into it. Even though Sobo has been dropping a lot of stinkers before he went down injured, maybe this break will do him a lot of good. With the attack, can't complain. And where I'm interested, what I'm interested in primarily is where they're going to start because they're all kind of interchangeable, right? You could play anyone across the front line in different position. They probably put in a decent shift. So overall, yeah, I'm satisfied. A little concerned, but satisfied mostly.
Yeah, I mean that's like an interesting one. I mean, these will be
Yeah,
great problems to have. We have at Cersei, but if Bradley and Gomez perform well, you would think we're going to still see Robertson and Trent at some point. It'll be
yeah.
more of a decision to be made, I guess, going into the weekend. But what do you make of the? Those are probably the three odd choices, right? Maybe actually that's one thing that I think I got wrong as well. We kind of expected to see Harvey,
Yeah.
figuring Boslai would not be ready. What do you think of those three choices?
I think it makes sense. Bradley versus Sterling. Obviously, Bradley's a much better defender than Trent. From if you're honest, um, um, with Gomez, yeah, I was surprised with Gomez. I would have saved him for Arsenal. I mean, being injury prone, and thank God he hasn't really pulled up with any injuries over the last three months, and he's definitely saved us. So I would have rested him for this game. I'm more scared of Saka against Robertson than Gomez. But and Sabozlai, it was a surprise. But then if you're going to bring him in, I think this is a better game to bring him in on than Arsenal. I think Chelsea are a lot weaker than Arsenal. And just looking at the Chelsea lineup, it's I don't really know who we got to fear. I mean, apart from Cole Palmer,
And you
well,
say I jinx and you
looking
say
at
I
the
jinx shit, man. Like, that is just dangerous thin ice right there.
I mean, I think the real threats are going to come from Chilwell, Cole Palmer, obviously. But I mean, if you can control that midfield, and if Bradley can, keep his head on, and which he has, and against Sterling, I'm more scared of Arsenal than Chelsea. So
You guys don't think Sterling would give Bradley any trouble at all? Like,
no, I think he
I
will.
saw,
I
He
think he
will.
will, but I think he'll give Trent more trouble, especially if Trent coming back from a muscle injury. Then it's. But I think Szoboszlai is good cover on that side with Bradley than being there.
Let's bring this guy on. Anan, I'm sure you kind of like this lineup over here. I mean, if Thiago was there in somewhere, you would probably pass out from joy. But what do you make of that midfield? Your favorite, Curtis Jones, paired with Szoboszlai, aided by Szoboszlai and McAllister.
I think it's fair to say that Jurgen agrees with me, regardless of how Szoboszlai looks. He has to be in that lineup, and
Maybe that's why he's
I,
leaving.
I will gladly take that.
where have I heard
With,
this before?
with no hate to anyone, but it does seem like he doesn't care what condition he's in. If he's ready, he's gonna start, and I guess I wouldn't be such a bad manager after all. But listen, it's a good-looking midfield. It is a very positive way to go out there, especially against a team like Chelsea, where it's 0-0, 1-1. The last God knows. When Gordo said it this morning, I cracked up. He goes, whatever's gonna happen is gonna end in a draw, and I was like, no, shut up. And then I'm like, yeah, he's absolutely right, isn't he? um, so yeah, listen, it's a positive-looking team. Nunez up front. We got Darwin. We got Diaz. It's a positive-looking team. We don't have a true holding midfielder. McAllister is gonna have a real job to do. But it's a positive looking team. And listen, much love, Gordo, but we're finally not gonna draw this time. Okay, stop putting it out there. Stop being a John.
I'm just getting myself prepped. It's like putting a bet on that I don't care about losing, right?
Yeah, and then John, just one question for you. Can you say a lot of good things about Cole Palmer? I want his leg to snap in half.
Yeah, he's been so good. He's been so good recently. Like the only bright spot actually for Chelsea, right? So probably expecting him to give us a lot of trouble this game.
Rest in
All right,
peace, Cole
good job,
Palmer.
John. Well done.
Yeah.
Wait, Jinx is in place. By the way, let us know what you guys think in the comments in terms of the lineup. And if you are following us on Facebook or Instagram, do not forget to head on over to YouTube and give us a follow there as well. Go ahead, John.
I have the lineup in front of me right now, and when Anon hopped in, I had to double check that Thiago wasn't in because for him to just hop in suddenly on a non-reckless Friday, I was like, oh, something must be happening. But
We're not gonna get to the Thiago. The gentleman did enough this morning. I had a feeling Thiago's name came up, so I woke up and I was like, oh my god. So we're good until a couple of weeks from today, and then you guys will hate me if you already don't.
I was gonna say, yeah, I mean, we're almost there. But I'm sure you had some hot flashes when you saw freaking Thiago in practice. So looking at the lineup, Gordo, looks like the battle. I mean, that's the strength of this team. I think when I look at the Chelsea lineup, I feel like that's the strength right there. Like Caicedo, Fernandez, and Gallagher. And we can make it all we want in terms of Caicedo and stuff. But let's face it, when it was announced that we were getting him, we were all extremely happy with it. So that's a tough trio to battle with in the midfield. Do you think that's maybe why Szoboszlai is in there over Harvey, by the way, because he's a lot more physical?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I look at is Conor Gallagher. I mean, he's due for another red card, right? I mean, let's put somebody in there that's going to knock him around a little bit and get him frustrated, so it gives him a red. I mean, what is he? He's got 2 already this year, and he's missed more games than he's played.
Yeah, he's a walk-in red cards. He's Thiago in a younger body. Serzi, what do you make of that midfield battle? I mean, or is there another area that you're like, hey, this is what's going to decide the game over here?
No, I think the game will be won and lost in midfield. But Szoboszlai is the only question mark I have, just because this being his first game back.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it seems a bit early. Either they were being awfully cautious and bringing him back, because you got to figure Trent and Robertson is not out there. But we're putting Szoboszlai out there in the toughest part of the field, so they must know something that we don't in terms of readiness. The front three, Serzi, let's stay with you. What do you make of that? Is that the ideal front three to start with and bring Gakpo off the bench?
Yeah, I bring Gakpo off the bench. Yeah, I mean, I do want to rest Jota just for Arsenal, but I'll definitely play Jota today at some point. But yeah. Gakpo is just hit and miss right now, and Yeah, I think it's the best. Given what we have, this is the best lineup I think we can start off with. Apart from Szoboszlai, where I think the game has maybe come too soon for him. Other than that, I think it's the best team we can put out there.
I mean, we talked this morning, right, John, in terms of like Gakpo being almost like the wild card, the better guy to play, bring off the bench. We used to say that for Nunez,
Yeah.
but obviously with Mo being gone, you still have to field three. Do you think this front three is chosen regardless of what the hell we'll worry about Sunday when the time comes? This is the best three we can put against Chelsea.
Yeah, I think it attacks what particular weakness Chelsea has on their front line. I mean, on their back line, rather. Because if you're looking at Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, Badiashile and Disasi, they're rather young, but putting Nunez and Diaz on the flanks, absolute speed demons at Anfield, it's going to give anyone a headache, and even more so with guys who have miles on their legs. So I think it's the best possible one. And like you said, Tim, you alluded to it. Gakpo gives you an opportunity to diagnose problems if there are any, whether it's on the midfield or the left or the right or the center. I think him coming off the bench is probably the best way to go. You were talking about where you think the game is going to be won or lost. I think it's actually going to be off the bench because we have a ton of options right now. Looking at our bench, practically close to full strength, and that doesn't have Salah and Endo and Gakpo, Elliott, Robertson, Gravenberg, Alexander Arnold. What a bunch of names that you could just bring in case of emergency, right? So yeah, I think that's where it's gonna come in. Mm-hmm.
Anand, how about you? Looking at that front three, your boy Nunez is out there. How do you think they line up? Do you think Nunez is in the middle, or do you think he kind of like is the guy on the left with Jota in the middle?
I think Nunez drifts more to the left with Jota in the middle just because of his goal scoring form that he's been in, and also Nunez has been playing really well on the left. So I think it'll start with Nunez on the left, but they will be switching and swapping, kind of have that free roll when he drifts in, you drift out, and I think that'll work best against a team like Chelsea. But to go back to Szoboszlai, wow, he's back, and I think he's fit, and the club has known he's fit for a while. That's why they kind of took that risk because knowing Jurgen, he wouldn't risk somebody just a couple of days before a big game like Arsenal. And as we are, and we're in the running for multiple trophies here, he wouldn't risk it. So I think Dom is fit and ready to go. His cameo appearance, in the FA Cup was in the Carabao against Norwich was amazing. I mean, he had him an assist. He looked good, made a few good passes, so he looks ready. So I wouldn't worry there. And I think Curtis Jones has been carrying that midfield for a while, and I think how they work with him will make a big difference today. So overall, this is a scary looking team. You've got a on fire Jota, you've got a finally doing everything right Nunez, you've got a Curtis Jones who's been on fire. I think this is a good looking team.
Wait. What was that? What was that last one?
As I said before, based on current form, he's our best midfielder. Don't get me
I thought my
started.
mic was up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me don't. But now that
How's just
Szoboszlai's
taking over
back,
his money?
now that Szoboszlai's back, give him 2 games and he goes back to being our best midfielder, and then Jones back to the bench. But listen, irrelevant, right? Bradley's gonna have a big job to do today. So that's my only fear. If Sterling's a fast little weirdo, right? And he can get past, and the lack of experience may be an issue, but also this could be the game he steps up and we're like, maybe we did find that right back, and maybe now we can move Trent to Muchin's favorite position, that number 6 role.
Yes,
So who
let's
knows what happens next?
go.
We don't have enough time. There's only 15 minutes to the game. We don't have time to get into that right now.
Yeah, don't get me started because we'll miss the kickoff. So Gordo, though, having seen that, I mean that's a good point. I think Bradley. Then again, we've seen him 1v1 defending, and let's face it, he's better in 1v1 compared to Trent. But do you think it's just a matter of Klopp looking at the best available lineup for today, regardless of what's coming up? I mean, they always say, managers always say game at a time, and we don't think about the other game, but it's half true where they do think of the other game and they do plan accordingly. But do you think in this case where we try to put out the strongest lineup in terms of readily like availability and then worry about Sunday when the time comes? Or do you think Trent and Robertson not playing is a sign of things to come?
Yes to both, right? Like I feel like though these guys, we say it all the time. It's like if it was up to them, they wouldn't practice at all. They'd just go to games. And so you got a guy in form. We want to put the best lineup because you could assume that not only for how many competitions we're still alive in, but also with Klopp's announcement, we have to go. Every game has to be a cup final from now on.
Hmm.
And in order to do that, you've got to put your strongest line out. And most of these guys have had so long to rest anyways, right? Like they should be fresh to hit 2 games in a row.
That's true.
So I think yes and no. I think for somebody that's going to have to put in so many miles, like our wingers or our backs do, our right and left backs, it's probably an indication that Robertson and Trent probably get minutes today. They probably rotate him out. I could see him maybe starting with the same lineup on Sunday and then also rotating Robertson and Trent in again, or vice versa to flip them out. I don't think either of those guys don't see the field today.
I think the 3-point thing was key anyway out of today, but City is already up to 0. Brentford is actually up against Spurs, away at Spurs 1-0 so far. But I think, when we talked about it and we said, hey, you know what, we'll take 4 out of 6. I think most of us, I don't know about you, Sergi, but figured the 3 is more likely, obviously, to come from this one.
Yeah, I'd rather take the 3 off of Arsenal because they're the closest to us. And take it, if I had to choose, obviously the 6 points. The way City are going now, I think it's going to be decided at Anfield if we both, stay on form. But I don't see City losing any points other than coming to Anfield and losing points there. So we just have to max out everything we can, and don't even think about 4 points. Just go for the 6 points and sacrifice a cup if we have to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I feel though if this was a draw, we'd be more disappointed with a draw from this game compared to an away game at Emirates, probably. Like in terms of, I mean, the first game of the season against Chelsea, we kind of figured, we weren't really ready. They weren't really ready. Well, to be fair, they never got ready. We at least improved and got ready. But this one, I feel like would be more of a disappointment. And maybe it's because it's home, too. I mean, John talked about it this morning, having the Anfield advantage and being able to capitalize with the 3 points. And then, obviously, you go for 3 against Arsenal over the weekend. But as we get ready for kickoff over here, Anan, give me your prediction. Has it changed from this morning? Anan, you know what? He's like, no predictions. I'm out here. Okay. John, let's go with you then. Same prediction as this morning. What do we got?
I think I was a bit too gung-ho and reckless this morning, so I'm pulling that down to 2-0. I don't even know what I said. I think the pressure that Tim was like, oh, you can't get away with it anymore. You have to say your prediction. And I was like, oh, shit, 3-0. But nah, 2-0. 2-0 for me.
I'm gonna do that from now on because we've had so many Wednesday games that I feel like I do like 15 podcasts on Wednesday, and from now on Wednesday morning I'm just gonna say like 7-1 Liverpool, and then for the pregame I'll say like what I actually feel. It's just like it's reckless.
People are gonna get confused. People are gonna get confused with the branding, Gordo. Like reckless is for Friday, and like.
Speaking of Reckless Friday, Anan, what is your prediction? You're back with us. What is your final score prediction for today?
I'm still sticking with what I said in the morning, which is the Timuchin special. I think 3-1. I think we'll score. I think we'll concede, but obviously we'll score more. And I think Nunez gets a goal, Jota gets a goal. And you know what? Here we go. Dum dum dee dum dum dum. So Boslai, he gets a goal too. So 3-1 Liverpool.
You noticed like how we kind of like jumped ship to totally the Szoboszlai ship. I feel like that meme where like Nunez is the one looking in the girl who's looking in shock as you're checking out Szoboszlai over there. But
I just need him to get his shit together and then I'll move on, But until then, I can't really say much because I got the Jones police on me. So
you already slipped once today. So Gordo, prediction.
Man, I'm still gonna say 1-1.
And if anything, we were hoping you would change it, not freaking
Such a positive guy.
Toning it down. You're still going with the 1-1.
Well, would you be like I don't know, just like I said, 9 times in a row? Would you be surprised with 1-1? Sometimes too, like there's, and I know this is just me going on a soapbox and talking about hypotheticals, but there's always that moment, like in a cup run or a title run, where it's like, yeah, things were going great. And then we stumbled a little bit, and we were like, "Oh shit, we're not invincible." And you need that sometimes. So maybe this is the calling card.
I'd rather have that never have that, I guess. I don't know. I was trying to think of
No,
a time
no.
I'd rather have it, but I'd rather never have it. But I know what you mean. You kind of do. I would rather have that where you stumble in a game, but make it happen at the end and say, save the day. Kind of like the 49ers did, like, right, John? Just like this weekend. It's just like,
No, that
pull
was
it off.
different. That
We'll
was
be
different.
able to pull it off. Yeah.
That was all Lions. That was.
Cersei, score prediction.
I think the supporters are going to make the difference today, and they're going to scare the Chelsea players. I'll go for 4-0.
Damn. I would love that, man. I'll
too.
take. I think we would all just take the 3 points regardless of the score. But I'm going with my special. I think 3-1 seems to be a good score because I think they do have, like, players that can make something happen. But I feel like, man, like this, I really like this lineup in terms of what it can do out there, especially against their back four. So we'll see how it pans out. But we'll give everybody some time to get situated in front of their TVs, phones, whatever you're watching. And then we'll be back right after the game with the post-match show, hopefully talking about the win, a Szoboszlai goal, a Curtis Jones goal, you name it, regardless. But have a great day, everybody. We'll catch you guys after the game. Enjoy the game. Take care.